Welcome to the new and improved Cash and Sport. We have a longer, more exciting format for you with one big story every week. Over the course of February, you can look forward to stories about African football and where it's going. But first, let's take a look at the biggest news coming out of the continent in this week's Quick Takes. US prosecutors have shared details of criminal charges brought against Dozy Mmobuosi, the founder and CEO of Tingo Group, a NASDAQ-listed agri-fintech startup. Mmobuosi is accused of reporting hundreds of millions of dollars in fictitious revenues and assets for 3 companies that he controls. And the fraud is insane. According to a report by Hindenburg Research, Tingo's claims that it sold more than 12 million smartphones to farmers in Africa are false. Farming cooperatives supposedly partnered in the scheme denied doing business with the company. Nwasa, an agricultural marketplace launched by Tingo, was never completed, and Hindenburg's research alleges that the business never even existed. In 2022, Mmobuosi emerged as a potential buyer for English Championship side Sheffield United, which had been struggling to meet some of its financial commitments in a deal within the region of £90 million. And around the same time, Mmobuosi bought a Nigerian National League side, 1472 FC of Lagos. This very week, reports came out of Nigeria that the club CEO, Dozy Mmobuosi, has been unable to pay his players and coaches as well as staff for all of 4 months. But the biggest news this past week has to be Canal Plus and their offer to buy MultiChoice Group, which was rejected. Canal Plus is a French premium television channel which is owned by Vivendi Group. Vivendi is an integrated media and content group. The company operates businesses throughout the media value chain, from talent discovery to the creation, production, and distribution of content. Through Canal Plus, they have over 25 million subscribers and over 350 million users per month of their Daily Motion platform. From around 6% in 2020, Canal Plus has been buying up small shares of MultiChoice and now holds a stake of more than 30%, making it the company's largest shareholder. The next largest shareholder, for context, is the Public Investment Corporation, or PIC, at just over 12%. This offer from Canal Plus has been expected for a while, to be honest, because South African law mandates that when a shareholder reaches a 35% stake in a listed entity, they must make an offer for a takeover. But there's a problem. See, the Electronic Communications Act of 2005 puts limitations on foreign control of commercial broadcasting services through strict ownership rules. A foreigner may not, whether directly or indirectly, exercise control over a commercial broadcasting licensee, and not more than 20% of the directors of a commercial broadcasting licensee may be foreigners. Canal, as we know, owns 30%. MultiChoice, in their response to questions on this, say they limit voting rights to 20%, and therefore Canal doesn't have a controlling stake. Canal Plus seems to think that they found a way around the regulations, and they are confident that the deal will go through. This is an interesting time for both MultiChoice and Vivendi. First and foremost, Vivendi is in the process of trying to reorganize itself, and their idea is to split the company's advertising assets, its investments, and Canal Plus. If the deal with MultiChoice goes through, that company will have a secondary listing on the stock exchange in South Africa. For MultiChoice, they're trying to shift from a satellite distribution channel to an internet distribution company through Showmax, because the satellite distribution company has been in decline for a number of years. So maybe, in an attempt to really fight against the likes of Netflix and others who will come, a full takeover from Canal Plus might be welcome. But what would MultiChoice's partners in Peacock, Sky, and HBO say about this? Presumably, they're already aware of what's coming. On the other hand, a French company effectively owning Africa's largest pay TV broadcaster could impact the sustainability of public media, which in turn has implications for democracy not only in South Africa but sub-Saharan Africa as a whole. For us, we have a little theory as to what may happen if this deal passes through. We think that MultiChoice may break up the group and split it in half, with the satellite business in the rest of Africa sold to Canal Plus. Canal Plus would then achieve its goal of becoming Africa's largest broadcaster, while MultiChoice will be able to concentrate on the business unit that has the best chance for growth, which is Showmax. All we know is it's going to be an interesting few months. And that was your quick takes for the week. Now on to our main story. We've all been blown away by AFCON, which has been incredible this year. And it got us thinking about where African football has been, where we're going, and the people that will get us there. Enjoy this first episode of our Football February series, which focuses on the state of African football. 2010 marked Africa's greatest moment in football history as the world descended on the continent for the FIFA World Cup hosted here in South Africa. Today, names like Salah, Hakimi, Victor Osimhen, and Iñaki Williams are household names the world over. But what is the state of African football? Have we improved or regressed in the last 14 years? Let's find out. Former footballer and marketing executive Sgwili Gumede has been involved in football for over 3 decades. For him, the 2010 FIFA World Cup was a moment to cherish for the entire continent. Tell us your feelings and emotions around the time in 2010 as a South African and as a former player who was in the game at that time.
Immense pride. The history is just history now that we did an amazing job, and at the time it was the biggest and the best World Cup ever hosted. We have not picked up from then and accelerated like other hosts have. And that's the only sense of disappointment about it. But otherwise, a great moment, a sense of pride for the continent and for the country. And then we moved on to a Vision 2022, which essentially was supposed to catapult us and the rest of Africa towards great heights where we would win a World Cup. How would you surmise how that has gone in the adjoining period since 2010? Overall, I think that the progress that African football has made on the field has not been matched by the progress that is being made in the boardrooms and the people who are making decisions about where African football is at. London-based journalist Oluwashina Okeleji believes that Africa's prosperity and failures begin in the boardroom. So the football side has improved. In terms of leadership, how would you assess the state of leadership since between 2010 and now?
Our football is run on the continent. It looks like a cowboys club where some people are just there to practically enrich themselves. And unfortunately, it's held African football back. You look across any major leagues in the world, you find Africans. So it tells you the talent are there. But the people in charge of the football, I just think we've had more corruption stories. We've had more heartbreaking stories concerning what the federations
are not doing right, rather than hear what they are doing well. It makes you wonder
if those in charge of football really care about football or they care about their pockets. And I'm strongly linked towards the latter, saying what they practically do is find a way to, make money for themselves and not make glory for the nation.
How would you assess the term of the current president of CAF, Patrice Motsepe, over the past 3 years since he took over in 2021?
I think he should be congratulated. When people hear that the president of CAF is a dollar billionaire, I think they take CAF seriously. Why would you spend time with something like that for someone like him? And we see the results. I think there's more sponsors and there's more broadcasters.
I think what Patrice Motsepe inherited, I wasn't a huge fan of his presidency as his presidential choice to come into football. I felt like Mamelodi Sundowns is okay. You can't bring that to run the continental football. But so far, I think there's been progress, and we have to give him credit for that.
The FIFA Forward initiative acts as a bridge between teams with resources and those without. The development program distributes funds to applicants to assist with infrastructure and special projects.
Since 2018 and now, they've had like they've gone through 3 circles of that thing, and the positivity has, in fact, shockingly comes from so-called minnows in African football. Mauritania, for instance, Cape Verde, for instance, Central African Republic, they've had their successful projects where FIFA, help them with building facility, the football center, the infrastructure, developing, artificial synthetic pitches for them, building, a whole lot of opportunities for them. Those are the successful stories, because we've seen from the AFCON, Mauritania made it to the second round. Cape Verde has gone as far as the quarterfinals. It shows that if people are intentional and, of course, judiciously use money meant for football, it can go the right way.
Despite the challenges African football is facing, the standard of play is still of the highest order, as seen in the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations.
The best AFCON, in my opinion, since the expansion of the tournament. Many felt like the tournament will be watered down because of the expansion and whatnot. But imagine, you don't have the most successful country in the quarterfinals. You don't have the second, third most decorated side in the tournament history in the quarterfinals. You've had the oldest being kicked out before the quarterfinals. The last three champions are out of the tournament before the quarterfinals. It tells you the football is changing. There's
a lot to be done. There's a lot to do, but this has been fantastic. And I'm as an African, I'm very, very proud of what this AFCON has done. And for the first time, we feel like the world has, for the first time, seen what we've been talking about all the time.
African football has been defined by mismanagement, and it's this negligence that has led to the decay of the beautiful game across the continent. But if this year's Africa Cup of Nations is anything to go by, the continent has all the potential to become a major power in global football. And that's it for this week's episode. Catch us again next week as we explore the Motsepe effect in African football. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and follow us on every social media platform that you're on. We'll see you again next week. Cheers.